back to Ferris Tutorials. Guess what? Yes, we have completed section 1 of the Food, Nutrition and Health Syllabus. And in today's episode, we'll be revising section 1 and it is entitled Diet and Health. Now, focus points. So as I said before, we'll be reviewing the topics covered under section 1 and also to look at some past paper questions based on section 1. Now, these questions were taken from the examination year 2014 to 2019. Now let us look at the topics that were covered under section 1. So we looked at diet. We looked at diet-related health problems and their impact. We looked at dietary guidelines for the Caribbean, factors that influence eating patterns and dietary choices in the Caribbean, factors contributing to changes in dietary needs, basic physical activity plan to maintain optimum health for various age groups, community nutrition, vulnerable groups in the community and their nutritional problems, factors that threaten food security of vulnerable groups that bring about undernutrition and starvation, and also we looked at the organizations involved in community nutrition. Now let us zoom in on a little more details of all the content and topics that were covered, and we're starting with content 1 and 2, which is entitled diet, right? So on this content we looked at definition of key terms, where we looked at a definition for diet, we looked at a definition for health and also nutritional status. Now just a reminder, remember diet relates to the meal that is eaten on a daily basis, and according to WHO, health may be defined as the physical, mental and social well-being of an individual and not just merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So you cannot have any illness or infirmity, but once your physical health is not there, your mental health is not there, or your social well-being is not up to par, then according to this definition, according to WHO, you're not considered as healthy. And remember, WHO stands for World Health Organization, and they coined this definition in 1948, right? Now, the next term that we looked at was nutritional status, right? And this refers to the state of the body resulting from the intake and use of nutrients, right? It also determines on the quantity and quality of these foods that are eaten and how it impacts or affect one's body. Good. So persons can have a good nutritional status or you can have a bad nutritional status depending on what you eat, right? We also looked at method of nutritional assessment, right? And we use the letters A, B, C and D to remind ourselves of these assessments. Now A stands for anthropometric, B stands for biochemical, C stands for clinical, and sometimes clinical is also used interchangeably with the word physical, and D now refers to dietary assessment. Good. Now we also looked at aspects of health, where we look at the physical health, we look at the mental and social. Now there are different aspects to health, but you're required to learn about these 3 for now. So when we speak of physical health, the ability to move around and engage in physical activities without any pain or strain on the body. Mental health has to do with the ability to cope with the normal stresses of life, how you balance with your schoolwork, your home chores. Social has to do with your ability to form healthy relationship with your peers. Good. We also look at the role of diet in maintaining good health, and we also looked at types of diet, specifically balanced diet, special diet, and also reducing diet. Now reducing diet would be one that is what? One that is low in an amount of certain particular nutrients. For example, if somebody is on a weight reducing diet, they want to what? Limit the amount of fatty foods that are eaten, and also the energy rich foods, and they may want to limit the amount of carbs as well. Now, a special diet may be given to someone that has a particular health condition, and a balanced diet is a diet that contains all the nutrients in their correct proportion. Good. Now, we also look at diet which contributes to good health and well-being. And when we speak of that, we're looking at high fiber diet. Good. So this diet will keep us fuller for longer. It prevents persons from becoming overweight or obese, prevents colon cancer, as it regulates bowel movement, and also guess what, it prevents us from overeating because it keeps us fuller for longer. We also speak of the low fat diet, so diet which is consumed that has a limited amount of fat in it, little or no fat. And also the cooking methods that are used are ones that prevent you from using additional fat for cooking. We also speak of low sugar diet and low salt diet, and we would select foods that are low in sugar, so low in sugar, and also what, sugary drinks as well, and we don't add additional sugar to our fruits, right? So we may consume fruits and also water to limit the amount of sugar, and also to reduce the amount of salt in the diet. We restrain from eating cured meats such as salt mackerel, salt fish, processed food, and also just not sprinkling any additional salt on whatever that you are eating. And we also speak of a vegetarian diet. Good. And this is one that is mostly rich in vegetables and fruits. Now, there are different types of vegetarians, but as we go on in this course, we'll find out the different types. Now, that was it for content 1 and 2, right? Which was entitled diet. Now, let us remind ourselves of what content 3 is about. So, content 3 looked at diet related health problems. See where we're going? So we have looked at the different types of diet, the one that contributes to good health and well-being, and now we're looking at diet related health problems and their impact. Now, in this section, we'll look at definition for lifestyle diseases. And remember, these are illnesses that happens to someone based on the type of habits and practices that they engage in, right? So we speak of uncontrollable factors and we speak of uncontrollable factors. So remember, the controllable factors are the things that we can control. We can control what we eat. We can control how much energy we expend, right? When we speak of uncontrollable factors, as we get older, it is natural for persons to become ill. So we speak about age, we speak about genetics, good, and stuff like that. Now, we looked at a definition and description for each of these diet-related health problems. And the diet-related health problems that we looked at are overweight and obesity. Good. This is where the body has accumulated so many fat to the extent that it has a negative effect on health. We also look at this diabetes mellitus. This is where the insulin may not be effective to break down the sugar, and even if the pancreas is producing the insulin, guess what? It is not effective for the sugar to be broken down, and then persons can become diabetic. We also spoke of hypertension, right? And remember that everyone has what? Everyone has blood pressure, because if we didn't have any blood pressure, we would die, or we would be dead, right? So hypertension now is the condition in where the blood pressure raises above certain normal acceptable level, and it remains constantly high. We looked at iron deficiency anemia, and as you notice, iron deficiency meaning that is a type of anemia that may happen to someone if they are lacking the mineral iron. Good. We looked at dental caries, which is a scientific name for tooth decay. We looked at eating disorders, and the two that we looked at were anorexia nervosa and also bulimia. We looked at heart disease, also called cardiovascular diseases. These are diseases that affect different parts of the heart, right? Where we may speak of angina, palpitation, heart muscle disease, heart valve disease, atherosclerosis, all of those, right? Heart attack, good. No, heart failure, good. And we also spoke of stroke as well. And stroke occurs when there's a blockage in the cerebral artery in the brain that causes oxygenated blood from flowing to the brain. That is when persons may have a stroke. Now, after we looked at all the definition and description of these diseases, we went a little bit further to look at how these diseases impact the Caribbean citizens, right? And we looked at 3 ways in which these diseases impact Caribbean citizens, good. So we speak of human resource capacities affected. When we speak of human resources, who are we talking about? We're talking about people. So we're looking at the workforce. How are persons affected? Good. Disposable income spent on health. Based on the amount of money that the family take home after taxes, how much of that money is spent on buying medication, for transportation to go to the doctor. We also speak of government expenditure on health bills. How many money they have to spend on inpatients and outpatients, and also to subsidize medication. Remember, we talk about the National Health Fund here in Jamaica, where when persons have certain diet-related health problems, they are given this insurance so they can get subsidized medication, right? Now, an exam, a CSEC question may ask you, how is it that dental caries affect the Caribbean or the Caribbean citizens? Or how is it that anorexia nervosa, or how is it that diabetes mellitus affect the Caribbean or Caribbean citizens? Whichever way the question comes, now you're required to discuss these 3 points. So we speak of, again, human resource capacity, disposable income spent on health, and also government expenditure on health bills. Now, guys, we also looked at content 4, which is entitled Dietary Guidelines for the Caribbean, where we looked at definition of dietary guidelines. You remember what dietary guidelines are? Now, there are a series of health recommendation or nutritional recommendation that helps persons to eat maintain a healthy diet so that they can prevent nutrition related disorders. We look at what is important, and also some of the basic dietary guidelines of the Caribbean, such as reduce the amount of sugary foods eaten, limit the amount of salt, and stuff like that. Good. Now, content 5 had to do with factors that influence eating patterns and dietary choices in the Caribbean. Now, these, in simple terms, we're saying what are some of the things that make you eat what you eat, right? What are some of the reasons you choose certain things to eat, right? Now, these factors are advertisements, dietary needs, religious, cultural, income, medical non-communicable situations, age group, food fads and fallacies, personal likes and dislikes, technological development, availability of foods, natural disasters, and also government policy. Good. Now, let us look at content 6, and you may notice that content 6 is a little similar to content 5, but it is way different. Now, content 6 is looking at factors contributing to changes in dietary needs. Good. So you don't have a choice now. We're not looking at the factors that affect food choice or eating patterns. We're now looking at the factors that contribute to changes, the change that you have to make based on the state of your body, or based on the dietary requirements or the dietary needs that you have. Now, these factors include age, gender, level of activity, occupation, state of health, and also persons who have special needs, such as pregnant and lactating women, and also the convalescents. And remember, convalescents are persons who are recovering from an injury or an operation. Good. We may speak of food availability and also natural disasters. Good. Content 7. Basic physical activity plan to maintain optimum health for various groups. And these groups are toddlers, children, The adolescents, adults, and the elderly. Now, what are some exercise that you think would be suitable for these age groups? Good. And what would be the benefits? And also the duration. Now, exercise is good for you no matter how old you are. It reduces your risk for getting many diseases such as cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and even obesity. Very important. It also reduces stress, helps you sleep better, and improve mental health. Now, here are some tips for incorporating exercise into your lifestyle at any age. Now, let us look at children. So, they can play tag, they can also be playing in the playground, shooting hoops, they can be running, they can be picking up their toys, they can be organizing workstations, their little play area, and these exercise at least an hour a day. Now, for adolescents or teens, they can play sports in school. So we speak of football, basketball, netball, volleyball. They can ride their bicycles, walk with friends. They can jog. For adults, they can engage in tennis, go to the gym, have yoga activities, weight training, swimming, jogging, aerobics exercise at least 30 minutes a day for 5 days a week. Now, for the seniors, good, they must be able to maintain balance. Also, water aerobics are very good for them, stretching, and just light weights on light exercise such as maybe jogging, swimming, or just walking. Good, at least 30 minutes a day for 5 days a week. Good. Now, content 8, community nutrition. We looked at a definition of community nutrition and also the importance of community nutrition. Now, community nutrition refers to all the educational programs that are set out to educate the community or to inform the community on the importance of nutrition related information, right? Also, personal hygiene, getting health checks, all of those programs that are geared, nutrition related programs that are geared towards the community. Why is it important? It is important so that the community can prevent diet related health problems or nutrition related health problems. They can have a healthier lifestyle, they can live longer, and guess what? They also can educate others. Good. Now, content 9, vulnerable groups in the community and nutritional problems. Now, the vulnerable groups in the community are infants, toddlers, the elderly, pregnant and lactating women, the specially abled, and also the poverty stricken. Now, when we speak of the specially abled, we're talking about persons who have special needs. Good. So persons who may have not able to walk, persons who not able to see or to hear, poverty stricken persons who cannot afford certain types of food, and also pregnant and lactating women, those who are with child, and also those who are breastfeeding. Good. Now, the nutritional problems of these vulnerable groups within the community refers to malnutrition. Now, malnutrition comes in two forms. We may speak of undernutrition or overnutrition. Good. Now, when we speak of overnutrition, we're talking about infants and toddlers. They may be overfed, therefore they may overeat, therefore they're overnourished, which is a form of malnutrition, right? We may also speak of they're not getting the adequate amount of nutrients that they need as well. So, for example, protein is very important at this age to prevent even certain deficiency diseases such as kwashiorkor or marasmus, or a combination of two, which is marasmic kwashiorkor, right? So it is very important for us to understand these vulnerable groups, even the elderly. These persons, they may be going through some psychological and physiological problem. They have digestion problem. They are not able to develop the enzymes to break down the food, so they may be constipated. Good. They may also have certain memory loss where they forget to eat. Maybe they are not working anymore. Most of them are retired. They feel lonely. Some of them may lose their spouses, so they don't want to feed. They feel like they don't want to eat. Right now, pregnant and lactating women, these women are catering for two. So they must have adequate amount of nutrition. Special nutrients that are required are iron, right, to help in the development and formation of the baby. So we speak of iron, calcium, folic acid, very important, or we may say folate, and all the other nutrients are very important at this stage for the pregnant and lactating woman. Good. Specially abled, they may also need persons to get the food for them based on the disability that they have, and poverty-stricken persons may not be able to afford nutritious foods. So these are why these groups are vulnerable members of the community. And the nutritional problem, they may have undernutrition issues or overnutrition issues. Good. And it is very important for them to have a balanced diet. Content 10, where we looked at factors that threaten food security of these vulnerable groups and bring about undernutrition and starvation. Now, these factors are age, socioeconomic status, infectious diseases, and also natural disasters. Now, how is it that age threaten food security? But importantly, we must understand what is food security, right? What is food security? Do you remember? Food security is when all persons at all times have access to safe and nutritious foods. And in order for food security to perform at its utmost best, there are 4 dimensions that must be in place. So we speak of food must be available. Good. And people should have access to this food, and it should also be stable, meaning it's available at all times, and also persons are able to purchase. When we speak of utilization, persons should be able to purchase and also use these foods, right? So the factors that threaten food security, we speak of age, socioeconomic status, age. So we look at the elderly. Good. They may not be working. Some of them may be on retirement, not receiving any income. No, that can be a factor, right? Socioeconomic status, as I was speaking about the income there again. As I said, some may be on retirement, while some persons are poverty stricken. They're not at retirement age, but they just cannot afford it. Infectious diseases, look at what is happening now. We speak of corona. How many times have we heard of shortage of certain foods in certain countries, right? Natural disasters, so they may be flooding, the livestock on the farm, they drown off, the crops are destroyed, and therefore all of these issues will affect the dimensions of food security. So when we speak of availability, access, stability, and utilization, all of these must come into play for food security to be in check. Now, we also looked at content 11, which has to do with organizations involved in community nutrition. We looked at local government and also non-governmental organizations locally within our country, where we speak of health centers, we speak of Ministry of Health, we may speak of the hospitals, right? And regionally, we may speak of PATH, that is unique to Jamaica, the PATH program that try to bring nutritious meals or meal supplements to persons. Good. Regional and international organizations. So Regional meaning that they are found in the Caribbean, and when we speak of international, we're speaking of outside the boundaries of the Caribbean, right? And these organizations include World Food Program, World Health Organization, Food and Agriculture Organization, United Nations Children's Fund, United Nations Development Program, Pan American Health Organization, Canadian Public Health Association, and also the Caribbean Food and Nutrition Institute. Now, these organizations are responsible for educating the community, right? Educating the nation about health and also health issues and also nutrition related health problems. Good? Now, are you ready? It is time to analyze these CSEC past paper questions. It is now time for you to shine. Now, based on all the content that we've covered, we're now going to look at these past paper questions which are related to section 1, and they were taken from the years 2015 or I think 2014 to 2019. Let's go. 2019. Define the term nutritional status. 2 marks. State the 4 types of assessment methods that are generally used to evaluate nutritional status. Suggest 3 reasons why the effective management of diabetes mellitus is costly. 6 marks. 2018. List 3 organizations involved in community nutrition in the Caribbean. Explain 2 roles of community nutrition in the Caribbean. 4 marks. Discuss 2 factors that contribute to changes in dietary requirements of individuals, and your discussion must include 2 examples for each factor. Identify 2 types of high-intensity activities suitable for adolescents, which may assist them in maintaining optimum health. 2 marks. State the minimum length of time the activities identified should be carried out in order to be effective. 2017. List 3 types of diets which contributes to good health and well-being in individuals. 3 marks. Recent statistics have shown an increase in obesity in the Caribbean. Explain 3 ways in which obesity impacts the Caribbean. 6 marks. List 3 examples of vulnerable groups in the Caribbean. 3 marks. Discuss 2 factors that can threaten food security of one of the vulnerable groups identified, resulting in the undernutrition or starvation of the vulnerable group. 4 marks. 2016. Identify 1 sign or symptom of each of the following nutrition-related disorders. Anorexia nervosa, 1 mark. Iron deficiency anemia, 1 mark. State 1 function of dietary fiber or roughage in the diet, 1 mark. Discuss 3 possible health benefits of consuming a vegetarian diet, 6 marks. 2015 and 2014. State 4 guidelines that an individual may use to lose weight, 4 marks. State 3 signs or symptoms of diabetes, 3 marks. Suggest 3 guidelines for reducing each of the following in the diet. Sugar, 3 marks. Fat, 3 marks. Exam tip. Be sure to look at the value of each question before you attempt your response. So for example, if it is 4 marks, you know that you should write as much information to get your 4 marks. Good? You are awesome. You've made it to the end of section 1 and also to the end of today's session. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and most importantly, share with persons who you know will find this information useful. Thank you for making it Fairies Tutorials.